What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, and to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. So today, we are back again this time of the month for tier listing once again for Sugo Fest exclusive characters. Now, this specific tier list is going to be a little bit different. What I'm going to do this time, instead of going through every single character once again, I'm just going to grab last month's tier list. So I've remade the tier list as of how I had it last month with the additions of the new characters with Kid, Hawkins, and 6+ Garp. And we're just going to make iterations from the past month's tier list, and we're going to go from there. I feel like that's probably a more sensible way to do things. But in terms of the tier listing itself, for those of you who don't know what my personal criteria are for tier listing, and remember, this is my personal opinion. You don't have to agree with what I say here, but this is how I am personally ranking the Sugo Fest exclusive. So first of all, the power of the character, how much damage are they able to deal? Obviously, characters that can do more damage are going to have a higher priority over ones that don't. Then you've got the speed of the character, so how fast are they at clearing content? And then their reliability, so how reliable are they at clearing that content? Do they die a lot? Is it really risky? Do you have to try an RNG for matching orbs? That type of thing. Their clear rate, so is there literally content that they cannot clear? Because that's obviously going to be quite a big negative to the character. And then obviously their usability and versatility. So how many different teams can this character be put on? You know, if they're restricted to one class or one color, that's going to be quite a downside to the character compared to, you know, rainbow units, or even a character being so good that they can be put on teams where they're not even boosted. That's a huge positive for that character, right? And I personally do rank a captain ability of the character to be a much higher priority in terms of where I list them on the tier list. So if a character has like a really bad captain effect, I usually list them a little bit lower than what they typically are compared to a lot of other people's opinions. But I guess without further ado, let's get into it. So we're going to be reviewing my last month's tier list and then making changes to the tier list and also making additions or subtractions as we go along, okay? So we're going to start off from the almost there tier. So the tier that's you know, essentially down the bottom, that will separate between the characters that don't go on the tier list and the ones that do go on the tier list. So from this batch here, I don't think there needs to be any changes whatsoever. But then moving up, we've got tier 5, which is Trafalgar Law version 1, who I don't think will be moving. Tesoro is still relatively good. He could be moved up, but that's with his expansion. I guess with expansion, he is actually pretty good. Now that I'm thinking about it, was this, I don't even remember last month, but did I have this guy listed here even with expansion? Because if I didn't, that seems a bit silly. I feel like he should be here. And then for Garp, well, remember, he does get a super evolution, so we're going to be taking him off, and then we've got this Garp. Now, this Garp is not staying here, that is for sure. With his super evolution, he gets so much better, it is pretty crazy how much better he actually gets. His captain effect is actually pretty good, and his special ability is buffed significantly. So, personally speaking, I think I'm going to put him into tier 3 for now. He could almost go in tier 2, honestly, but I think tier 3 is pretty fair. And you can see that there's a bell curve here of like a lot of characters like to be in the middle of the road of the tier list and not too many at the top. But let's move on. So tier 5, I think, doesn't need to change. So tier 4, we've got the 6-star Lucy, 6-star Judge, 6-star plus Judge, which all of these characters are fine. V2 Dofi, Luffy and Ace, Jinbei is fine. For those of you who don't know why Jinbei is here, obviously his captain effect is not great. He's a fighter captain, only a 3x booster, but his special ability is very nice to have. It's a great piece of utility. It does damage, and it also gives your fighter characters matching slots. For such an old character, they did a really good job with his super evolution. And I know this isn't going to be relating to Pirate Rumble. This is relating to essentially everything else except for Pirate Rumble. You know, this character does see a lot of play in Pirate Rumble, which I know a lot of people are wondering, you know, where's going to be like a tier list style video for Pirate Rumble. It will be coming, don't worry, just stay tuned. There's going to be it's not going to be exactly like this for my Pirate Rumble tier list video. It's going to be a little bit different, but you guys will be seeing over the coming days, and I'll get your guys' opinions on it and see how you guys like it. So, next is Gear 4, he's fine. Capone, Capone is still really good when you really think about it. Like, Capone is actually really, really good, but shooters are not great, and outside of that, I mean, sometimes you'll use him as a sub just for his big father effect. Obviously really good with Katakuri, but at the moment, this Capone is not like 100% synergy-wise perfect for Katakuri. When he gets his super evolution, though, he definitely becomes like a perfect sub for Katakuri. This Sabo isn't great, but I know a lot of people still say that they use him, but personally speaking, I don't, but he is still okay. The V2 slashes are kind of meh. This guy's really good, really nice unit to have, especially with that really powerful support. Onami, who obviously has a lot of issues, I've talked about it a lot in the past, but with very minor changes, V2 Nami could be one of the best legends in the game, I think, honestly, because her captain ability has a lot of potential, and her special ability as well also has a lot of potential. There's just very minor changes they need to make her really, really good. Robin is okay. Fujitora is still okay. His captain effect isn't great, I'll admit. Special ability is a little situational depending on what type of content you're going up against, but he's still okay and really good in Pirate Rumble though. And then Kung Fu Luffy's fine. So I don't think there needs to be any changes here. Tier 3, we've got Rayleigh. So like we got Rayleigh and Corazon here. For those of you again who don't know why they are here, obviously their captain effects are not ideal under any circumstance, but it's their amazing special abilities that, considering how old the character is, these characters are still phenomenal, and their support effects, which have arguably the best support effects in the game, attaching to a wide variety of characters, meaning like any Luffy for the Rayleigh and then any lore character for Corazon. Just exceptional characters. V2 Shanks, I actually used him a lot between now and the previous tier list because he was really good in the previous Kizuna Clash that came out. Such a good unit still. V2 Akanu is still alright. He does have his limit break expansion now, which makes his captain effect a lot better. A 3.75 boost, enhanced damage output from his end of turn damage. Very good unit. V2 Corazon, again, still a pretty good unit overall. You've got Corazon, of course. Carrot, who goes in and out she has like phases. Like sometimes she's really good because there's lots of content that is either strength or lots of content where they have just annoying barriers and defensive effects. And obviously in those circumstances, Carrot's going to be like a really good choice. And then sometimes you just can't use her because the content is too difficult, or they just reject everything that Carrot tries to do, or like death damage, for example, was just kind of annoying to use Carrot with. Yeah, so she goes in and out of popularity, but still, across the board, on average, this unit is still very powerful. Cat Dog needs a super evolution. Nami's still pretty good. Shirahoshi Manchuri's nice to have. V1 Katakuri, unfortunately, doesn't see that much play anymore. My boy missed the Slam Jam, but I've still got a place in my heart for this guy. Komarosaki, one of the most underrated Sugo Fest exclusives in the game, in my opinion. I think I talked about it in my tier list last month, but Komarosaki is just so good. Chopper is great. This Lucy is still pretty good. Then you got Arlong, who... It's such a shame what they did with Arlong. I think that, you know, eventually when they give super evolutions to characters like this, if they gave something similar to like what Gil Tesoro had, you know, how he had such an absurd restriction, and then once his expansion came out, or whenever the other characters get super evolutions, if they upgrade their captain effects to just remove their condition and make them just rainbow instead, that would make these characters so much better in like every facet. Like, could you imagine V2 Big Mom if you didn't need one of every typing on your team? Like, just characters like that with a super evolution would make them so much better. But yeah, it's just such a shame. Like, you have a character like this that releases alongside Shanks crew. Like, there's just no comparison between the two. Like, this Shanks crew is so much better. Marco is alright still. V3 Corazon, should I say, who I actually pulled between the last month tier list and this month tier list, which I'm so happy about. I have used him, and he's okay. He's about where I thought he would be, honestly. I know that there was lots of discussions, or I had lots of discussions with people in other Discord servers about chain boosting captains in general. And overall, there's just the consensus that a lot of people don't like them, myself included, and there's some people that really like the chain boosting captain. So that's awesome that there's a diversity in the community. Some people really like characters like that, like this guy, or like this guy, or even like this guy, for example. But I do think Sabo is better for lots of other reasons, not just because overall multipliers, but the way that chain boosting captains are implemented in the game right now is just not the way that I like to play the game. But saying that, Kuzan's still pretty good. He's got a good special still. And then obviously we just put Garp in there. Then moving up to tier 2, we've got Whitebeard Marco, V2 Katakuri, Cracker, and Big Mom. Amazing subs there. We got Robin and Nami. This character I did use a decent amount throughout the past month, and if you did pull Legend Kid, then you're probably going to be using this Nami and Robin a lot throughout this upcoming month as well. Nami and Robin are really good, even as subs. Personally, do not like using them as a captain. They're extremely finicky to use. And then Pudding as well was very good throughout this month as well, because obviously they had the Kizuna Koala, which should have been out a long time ago on Global. But for, you know, considering considering how much time was between the release of the character when they were supposed to come out and when they actually came out on global, there was so much time period there that a lot of people, by the time we had that Kizuna, had both Nami and Robin, or at least had one of them, which meant that Kizuna was so easy. So obviously these characters were really good. They had double stats during that Kizuna as well. I still think Quick Bid is a very underrated unit, and then Sabo here as well, who I also did just pull recently, and I have been playing around with just a very small amount. I haven't used him that much yet, but he has been interesting, I would say. Definitely prefer Snake Man in almost every way over this Sabo, but Sabo is still a pretty cool unit, but unfortunately they kind of missed the mark with some of his abilities. And then tier 1, so the tier right below the top tier, we've got Barto Cavendish, who's still strong. Did I even use them throughout last month? I think I used them for something. I can't remember what it was. Sanji Judge, one of my favorite units in the game. Viva Rebecca, amazing. Just terrible captain ability, in my opinion. Even though I actually did use them in the Kizuna, but, you know, Kizuna is a little bit different because you can plan your team out much more efficiently to make sure that you have type advantage. So that's why. Then you got Stampede Luffy, who I still really like. Kaido's great. Halloween Ace, Luffy Zoro, Sober Mask. Man, Sober Mask, man, like, with an upgraded captain effect where he would have, like, let's say 20% damage reduction or 25% damage reduction on top of what he has, he would be a perfect unit in my eyes. Literally a perfect unit if he had 25% damage reduction in his captain effect. But either way, Mihawk Perona, who I actually did use a decent amount, they are amazing, especially with the strength super type units, especially with side super type whenever we get that. This unit is just phenomenal. Then we got the Int super types, which I do not think are going anywhere for a little bit. Blackbeard has obviously been exceptional with the amount of damage that he can provide. And then you got Katakuri, who is one of my favorite units in the game, just an absolute monster once you get him set up correctly. And then the top tier, which I personally don't see this changing. I mean, the only character that I would consider moving out of this top tier would be either V1 Snake Man, but at this point, I don't think it's really necessary because he still kind of just clears everything. Of course, now that we have some other really great friend captains with him, you can kind of just do whatever you want. And the other character is maybe this Akainu, because there are some situations where I've used this guy where, you know, he has a really good captain ability where you get lots of matching orbs, but it's not guaranteed. You know, you could literally walk into a room and just have a full strength dex quick orbs on the wrong characters, and then you still have to bring some sort of way to get matching orbs, which I still think no matter what content you're going up against, you should always bring a unit that gets you guaranteed orbs. But, yeah, I've just noticed that sometimes when I'm going up against certain mini bosses, it would be nice to get a little bit more matching orbs, and, you know, it is a lot of orbs you get from this guy. I'm not disregarding that, but just sometimes using this guy is a little bit finicky, and especially if the enemy has defense down immunity or full immunity, then you don't get the most out of his special. And his special ability being a really high attack booster is still really good, obviously, but his other side effect of removing 3 turns of barriers, I like that about him. It's just unfortunate that, you know, removing 3 turns of barriers isn't always going to be applicable when you're using that Akainu. But still a really fun unit to play with, and I think every other character here, like from here, nah, these characters need to stay. And what's actually funny is I actually just scrolled in and had a look. I forgot to put V3 Rayleigh on my list somewhere, so you just stick him in tier 4 because Rayleigh's trash, man. Rayleigh is absolute trash. Alright, either way, let's get to the new stuff, right? So, obviously we've already placed the Garp 6+, who I think is, as I said, phenomenal. Then we've got the 2 new characters. We've got Hawkins and Kid. Now, obviously, I don't have Kid. Kid is the only SugoFest exclusive right now that I do not have. Where would I personally place him? Now, he's difficult to place. I think Kid is probably tier 1 at the moment. And this is kind of funny because when he first dropped on JP, I also kind of think he was around like a tier 1 position. He actually looks really, really good on paper. But it's just after this month of like all this quick boss content that we'll be releasing for Kid and Hawkins to beat, of course. After that happens, it basically will just move on, and then they're not really going to be the most ideal captains to use for a pretty long time until they just release another quick boss. That's the only real time that like this character ever comes out to play is, you know, if there's a really annoying quick boss, typically Kid's going to be a go-to, and if not, you've still got Kaido as well, right? And they're not the only 2 characters that can beat quick bosses. A lot of characters, even like some of these strength units can clear quick bosses. That's not going to be a problem. So I do think Kid is a relatively high tier character. Do I think he's tier 0? No, he definitely has problems. The fact that he only gives your Dex characters those really high multipliers if you have specifically a bomb or super bomb slot, I'm not a big fan of. I wish it was like a super bomb and a Dex slot. Like if a Dex unit has a Dex orb, give them the 5 times boost, so you could run like other types of characters that change certain orbs into matching for your Dex characters so they can still have a high attack boost. But like Kid's very, very specific with that. And the fact is with his captain effect, he doesn't have any HP, he doesn't have any damage reduction or any recovery mechanics, which makes him very squishy, very similar to Sober Mask, a very, very squishy unit. So for all of those reasons combined, that's the reason why I put him here. Saying that though, he's still relatively good as a sub as well. If you're running like some sort of, you can run double Kaido still with Kid as a sub. That can still actually work because obviously he gives you like all those bomb slots with his special, and he's got a sailor effect that makes bomb and super bomb matching for your whole team. Like it's really, really nice to use him as a sub as well. So yeah, there's lots of things going for this unit. I just don't think he's that top tier 0 character. And then you've got Hawkins. Now, Hawkins being such a controversial unit, it's really difficult to place this character as well. I think it's a lot more difficult to place Hawkins than Kid because I don't think he is a bad character, Hawkins. I don't think he's bad, but I don't think he's like top tier either. Now, I know a lot of people on JP have found like really cool ways to use this guy to kind of just cheese content. Myself personally, I'm not the type of player that would do something like that. So look, my playstyle is a lot different to a lot of other people's, and you know, other people's playstyles are different to what I like to do. So, you know, it is an opinion-based thing. Where would I put him right now? I think at the moment, tier 3 is probably where I'd put him. However, that special ability is actually pretty good. And even his special still has problems because, you know, it does give you some orbs, but it's only himself and adjacent orbs get matching orbs. In this day and age, in 2020, why would they make a character that just does that as a releasing Sugo Fest exclusive? Gives himself an orb and adjacent orbs matching. Why isn't it just give a full board of orbs, including block orbs? It doesn't make sense at all. And then the tap timing bonus damage is obviously the big thing there. For 3 turns, up to 1 million tap timing bonus damage per hit. He does like over 1 million damage with his special activation. It does like 500 times his attack as damage just upon activation. And another thing is his super type special is relatively difficult to proc. So because of all of those reasons, it doesn't make him as good. But just using him as a sub is really nice. And then as a captain, yeah, you can hybrid him up with a lot of good units. He is technically a rainbow captain. He's a Dex super type unit. He does boost all other characters' attack as well. But his super type obviously only works for Dex. But saying that, you can hybrid him up with whatever you want. He's a cerebral slasher as well, so him being cerebral is pretty nice. And I don't know. I don't really know where I want to put him. He would definitely be in tier 2 or tier 3. I guess at the moment, I probably would put him in tier 3. However, saying that, I don't think he's going to move from tier 3 like for a really long time. I can see this guy being like a tier 3 unit for like a really, really long time. So yeah, I think I'm going to leave him here for now. And then any of these characters here, do I move any of these characters up? So let's have a look here. I think the only one that could potentially move up would be V2 Rayleigh. Maybe this guy as well, because this guy got a support ability recently, and his support ability is actually pretty good. He's a cerebral attack boost, a cerebral orb booster for his special. He's a cerebral captain. So, like, he's okay, I would say. And then this Rayleigh. Yeah, these two are still, like, on that almost there tier. With his Limit Break expansion, I actually am going to put him here. With his expansion, I'm definitely going to put him here. And then when he gets his Super Evolution, which we are hoping it's going to be when the next tier list drops, so the end of next month, he's probably going to be a little bit higher. Maybe only, like, one more tier higher. But this Rayleigh's pretty nice, I will admit. This Rayleigh's pretty good. But, like, everything else, like, no one's really using the... I mean, like, Buggy's like a really different case, I would say. I'm not going to put him here. Obviously, you're not going to use him, like, to clear high difficulty content. Magellan, he's sometimes used, not very often. Shiki's not great. NL's outdated. Brook isn't great. I mean, he's good in some content, but not a lot. Sanji, outdated. Sort of good, but, I mean... You got this guy as well. Good support ability though. Good in PvP. This guy's trash. Obviously 6+. So I think this is probably what my tier list is going to look like right now. And of course, it's going to be very interesting to see what the tier list looks like when next month comes around. Now, when next month comes around, what are we expecting, okay? So for next month, we're expecting the quick super type batch, which is going to be Legend Sugar and Legend Smoker. along with some rare recruits of Bonnie, Ivankov, and Caesar. And we've got a free-to-play Kuma and a free-to-play Moria coming out. Treasure map. Can't remember who the treasure map character was, but there's Colosseum Yukimaru as well. There's lots of characters coming out next month. And obviously with Super Evolution Rayleigh, that's the big thing that we're expecting as well. So yeah, lots of things to look forward to when the next tier list comes out. So let me know your thoughts and opinions on this way of doing it. I'm pretty sure this is the way I'm going to be doing it moving forward, where we're just going to, you know, take last month's list and then kind of just amend it from there, rather than going through every single character, which I think is a much more sensible way of doing it. But anyways, I really hope that this video gave you some guidance and information about some SugoFest exclusives, where I personally rank them. And just because a character is in, you know, just in tier 1 and not in tier 0 does not make tier 1 obsolete. No, these are still very, very good SugoFest exclusives. There's great SugoFest exclusives in every single tier, but obviously in some content they're going to be way better than some other SugoFest exclusives compared to others. It just depends on the content. But overall, this is what I think, and where each character would be ranked, in my opinion, against each other from tier 0 to tier 5. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this one today, and if you guys did enjoy it, make sure you go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.